This is Jason Hart, reporting for Media Trackers, Ohio. I recently traveled to southeastern Ohio to discuss Governor Kasich's proposed severance tax increase with the president of Artex Oil Company.
My name is Jerry James. I grew up in Ohio, went to Marietta College as a petroleum engineer. We basically are people in charge of drilling, completing, and operating oil and gas wells. After that, worked out west for a while for a few of the major oil companies, and then came back to Marietta and grew my business here. And we've been very fortunate to become one of the largest producers of oil and gas based here in Ohio. We have a team of professionals, of engineers, geologists, geophysicists that produce oil. Most of the people are native Ohioans.
All right, and I know that we've heard a lot over the past several weeks and months about the proposed plan to increase the severance tax rate. Kind of the position from the governor's office is that the tax is currently very low. Increasing the tax would be a source of revenue that could then be used for an income tax cut. Could you give us a little bit of perspective on that?
First, I have to say I applaud the governor for trying to decrease income taxes. We're for income tax cuts too. Most of my members, I'm also president this year of the Ohio and Gas Association, pay the personal income tax rate in Ohio. And so we think there's a way to do that that's a safer way. But a severance tax, most people aren't familiar with. It's a fairly archaic tax. And what a severance tax is, it's a tax you charge somebody for removing something from their own property. So in this case, what they want to do is they want to charge a 4% of the gross revenue, and that would not only be paid by the oil and gas producer, in most cases that would be paid also by very proportionate share by the landowner that owns the property too. So that kind of gives you a little bit of a background of what the severance tax is. What we're a little concerned about is there's an old adage, if you want less of something, tax it. And so when you look at it, do we really want less energy for Ohio? And I think Ohio's got a special kind of calculus in this, in that Ohio is a large northern manufacturing state. We have over 11 million people. And depending on what list you look at, we're about the 5th largest consumer of energy, depending on what type of energy you look at. So it ought to be the policy of Ohio first to encourage all the oil and gas production it can, because its citizens is going to save billions in oil and gas prices versus whatever this small tax cut would be. In addition, because we are a large populated state, there could be up to 200,000 jobs created if this Utica shale play works. And I don't think we want to do anything that discourages job creation, particularly a lot of blue-collar, good-paying blue-collar jobs, which is what we've been lacking in Ohio. The third thing is oil and gas is unique in that the landowner who owns the property generally owns his oil and gas mineral rights. So he will share the proceeds too in what's form of what's called a royalty payment. This would be a great economic boom to a lot of the rural landowners, and even some landowners maybe not so rural in Ohio. And so I think we ought to encourage that. And finally, Ronald Reagan used to say, if you have low taxes and you grow the economy, government will actually increase tax collection, and that's what you see too. We've done some studies that indicate that, this Utica shale proceeds forward, there'll be $1 billion of taxes collected by the state and local governments under the existing tax system in Ohio. And as I mentioned earlier, we're not opposed to tax cuts. We think part of that money then could be used to give tax cuts, at the same time providing revenue for local government, city schools, and everything else just from the economic activity that's going to take place.